and we are at the Extreme Networks booth at HIMSS. HIMSS is hopping this year as the pandemic winds down. Probably the most exciting HIMSS that I've been to. Let's introduce the gentlemen here on my left, Chuck and Jim. Jim, how long have you been at Extreme and what's your role?
I've been at Extreme about 4 months, I'll say.
4 months?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm the principal technical support engineer in the Premier group, so I pretty much am assigned to a major account with Extreme, and I assist them with their designs, implementations, and any sort of problems they have.
Well, congratulations for joining. Chuck, also 2 months, 3 months?
A little bit longer than that, 7.5 years. I'm not sure what that is in months, but it's been a heck of a ride. We do a lot of stuff, testing and doing ecosystem solutions with our partners. That's what I do at Extreme.
Fantastic. Well, on the backs of HIMSS, we actually have a piece of research that was commissioned by HIMSS and Extreme Networks. I'm just looking at the research here, and it showed that a growing number of healthcare IT leaders, 25%, are prioritizing network investments to address critical cybersecurity and productivity requirements. Does this surprise you based on the work you do with clients and partners?
Not at all. Cybersecurity is one of the biggest things. If you read the newspapers, you will always see the fact that hospitals are one of the biggest ransomware hits. Why? Because
Terrible.
They pay. And all the technology that they're using from a medical perspective is typically older. You know, a lot of the devices that they use, they're 10 plus years old. Why do they still have them? Because they work. And they're expensive to replace.
What say you? Do you seeing the same sort of feedback from customers? I mean, the network is becoming a top priority.
I am, and one of the initiatives we're really seeing a lot of health systems undertake is NAC, Network Access Control. And it's multi-tiered. You need to know what networks are on, what devices are on your networks, who they're talking to, and how do you secure them, in a simple, sustainable, scalable, and supportable way.
Let's talk about Wi-Fi 6 and geek out a little bit. You both the guys, I'm sure, are tech geeks like myself. But even when it comes to healthcare IT leadership, they're looking at Wi-Fi as a top investment area over the next 12 to 18 months. And Wi-Fi 6 is a fundamental part of that. Why is that? Why I mean, obviously, capacity, security, bandwidth are key considerations, but Wi-Fi 6 is more than a buzzword at the moment.
Absolutely. So bottom line, patient experience.
Okay.
Every patient gets a survey at the end of their stay at a hospital, and if the network stinks and they can't watch Netflix, they will ding the hospital, and there goes some of the funding. That's something very important for hospitals. Absolutely.
And one of the attractive things about 6E is the new frequency, the new bandwidth, the 6 gigahertz. Most new, patient devices are going to have a 6E card, so you can kind of give them better priority, make them more secure, and then have some of the older devices that are running 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, and leave them on those older bands while you're moving clients to 6E and have a better patient experience overall. Yeah,
Spectrum is king, queen in the kingdom, as they say.
And we are starting to see some other vendors starting to move with it. While traditional vendors in the medical space are still stuck on the 2.4 and the 5 due to FDA regulations, we're starting to see a lot of the voice over Wi-Fi vendors actually bring that forward.
So let's talk about new opportunities for Wi-Fi 6, new devices that can be added to the network. You mentioned Netflix, but obviously other video applications, file transfer. What are customers telling you in terms of what they can now do with Wi-Fi 6?
I mean, it's kind of funny, but your patient experience is king in that respect. So while it is for entertainment, a lot of times, you also have the things like the My Charts and things like that they can log in while they're there, get some of their traditional, I'll call it, information regarding maybe their conditions, maybe their working or their workouts, what they have to do to get better. Maybe it's dietitian stuff. A lot of those types of things all run together in that for that patient.
Yeah. And you must see requests all the time to deploy or try or learn about Wi-Fi 6. And I think Extreme is maybe one of the earliest adopters of Wi-Fi 6 for indoor and outdoor.
I think we were first to market. We were pretty early on. And, apart from healthcare, we have a very large stadium deployment, and I think that advanced us getting to market.
Yeah, I think if you could support a stadium full of people, you could support a hospital. That would lead to that conclusion. Let's talk about the hardware. Let's get geeky now. Hardware, technology, silicon. I mean, I think you had Extreme understand you have a kind of universal platform. One platform one base of code for all the solutions.
Yep. So what we've done at Extreme is we've actually built our hardware to be able to switch between the different operating systems. So from an access point of view, if a customer requires a on-premise controller, you can do that. Tomorrow, they want to switch to the cloud, or they've taken over a different clinic or something, they can actually deploy a cloud solution using that same hardware.
Oh wow.
Same thing goes with the switches. It's a universal hardware. You can do traditional switching, or you can do our fabric switching.
Wow, we used to call that software-defined networking. We're actually doing it.
We are doing it.
That's fantastic. What about management? I mean, you have potentially hundreds of access points, thousands. Automation is key. You don't really have time to manage all of these endpoints manually. You guys do a lot in automation and the sort of network management side of things. What's new there?
You want to take it?
You can.
Okay, so we have, again, with cloud management, you can manage all those different devices. But we also have something for our legacy that kind of brings together that network. So a lot of times we're not dealing with greenfield networks, which are new networks, new deployments. You always have some traditional networks that you're kind of bringing forward. With our site engine, you can actually bring those devices forward and be able to visually see them and report them up to the cloud. So again, depending on what you're looking for or what you're trying to migrate to and from, we can do the whole gamut of that.
Oh wow, that's pretty compelling.
Yeah, and with our site engine, you can even automate the configuration and deployment of switches as well.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, there aren't enough IT staff personnel these days to manage the complexity of these networks. So automation.
That is the beauty of Fabric. I mean, being able to deploy that core, never having to touch it again except for upgrades. No longer do you have to provision your VLAN all the way through every hop through the network. Imagine all the time you could save doing that.
Oh, that's huge. Wow, okay. Well, back to the research. It's also noted that 59% of healthcare IT leaders rank cybersecurity as a top priority. It's, all important, all pervasive now in the organization. We're here at the Healthcare Command Center for Cybersecurity within the HIMSS Pavilion. So tell us, you have some special sauce when it comes to security, encryption, maybe dive into that a little bit.
All right, we do have our Extreme Control product, which is our network access control. Jim mentioned that before. That's really how you can do all those types of authentications. You also can see when devices have logged in, what devices types they are, how they logged in, first time we've seen them, last time we've seen them, things like that. And then you can also integrate that platform with other security vendors, so you have that best of breed technology. Want to add anything in that one?
And with our Fabric, you can deploy a service specifically to, for example, we have medical devices don't refresh that all frequently. There's a lot of regulation around them. But if you're moving to the point where you are going to a segmented network, and you say, I need this particular medical device to continue to communicate, but I don't want it to have access to a trusted network or anything like that, you can spin up a service in minutes.
Wow.
So associate that device type with using control with an ISID, a VLAN, all of that fun stuff, and assign a policy to it, and keep that device in its own little segment and still functioning, and terminate into a firewall, centralized or decentralized, whatever your deployment model is.
That's really interesting, segmentation, as you look at the new kinds of devices coming onto the network, and wearables, and patient monitoring devices, and that segmentation must come in handy. What are customers telling you about how they're using these capabilities of the Extreme platform?
So we're seeing more and more that segmentation, or what we're calling hyper-segmentation, and the ability to have up to 16 million different segments. I don't know any customers that have that many yet. However, it goes above and beyond that traditional 4,095 of VLANs. So it allows you to get greater scalability. We do have some customers that have actually hit that limit with the traditional VLAN, and they love the Fabric because of that.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, if you're a networking geek, you have to stop by the Extreme booth. Tons of demos on display. We've got tons of applications and hardware to show. What are you most excited about this week? Obviously learning, meeting customers, networking.
Customers and questions, really. That's why I like trade shows. You actually can get into the mind of a customer, see what they're trying to understand or what they're trying to do a lot of times, then you can help them solve that problem.
I love that, yeah. It's not just sales, it's education.
It's a learning.
Yeah.
Always a learning.
And there's so much education here as well on how to deploy a next generation network. So congrats on your next 4 months.
Yeah.
And you guys are growing, so it's exciting to see Extreme really taking advantage of this opportunity to help customers. Thanks.
All right.
Stop by.
Thank you.
Have a great HIMSS.